Hi, Steve Stahlberg here with pinup number 34, part of the October rewards in my Patreon subscription. This idea is another huge ambitious one, in fact with 20 characters and an enormous detailed environment. It's by far the biggest yet in my Patreon. I also went on vacation to see family in Australia during last month, and so I lost a few days work there. So I hope you understand and forgive me for only posting one single PSD and video this month. With the 2 comic pages as usual, of course. So here you see I'm starting the sketch. It's going to be a girl. That's the pinup part of it. Of course, has to be there. She's been taken hostage by pirates. They tied her to the bowsprit of their ship for fun and profit and to taunt their enemy, who's actually pursuing them in the background. You'll see that later. I think she's actually the governor's daughter and the fiancée of the admiral of that ship that's pursuing them. The idea came from this convoluted idea came from a thought I had that I needed to practice more extreme perspectives. Instead of what I usually do is fairly flattened setup with not a lot of perspective, very simple backgrounds also. Often just one person and very simple backgrounds, and the kind of walk like an Egyptian kind of profile shot or front, or just pretty much like a selfie or like a standard portrait. And yeah, that was getting. I noticed it, and it kind of bugged me. I wanted to do something different. I want to practice. I want to do something better, or maybe just different. Maybe it's not going to be better. Well, who knows? We'll see. But at least practice, because I have a feeling that I do that because I'm scared of the difficulty that it entails. Because yeah, it is actually more difficult to do it this way. You see the perspective here already. High camera viewpoint looking down to begin with, but it's more than that also. As you'll see, the entire ship is going to fit in to this one composition. I managed to squeeze it all in there, and so you got the pirate crew in the background, and then even the horizon. Or you see all waves all the way to the horizon, and you see another little ship way back there. So this could very well be the how shall I say, the biggest vista I've ever tried to do. Yeah, so that's why it took much longer than usual, and for that reason I'm also going to be skipping ahead a bit more than usual. Yeah, this was as extreme as I could make it. And still have her be kind of sexy. I could have made her head even bigger, like filling this whole quadrant of the picture here with her eyeball huge, and still fitted everything else in back here. But that would have just been a comical effect, or overly distorted. I didn't want to go that far. Let's see if I have to skip ahead a little bit here. There's the captain coming in. It's a bit too big. Also, he's out of perspective a little bit there. Later I found I had to make his body taper off more to the bottom. Now let's skip a little bit here. Now I made it smaller. Now I'm putting in some perspective lines, which are also going to be used as planks on the deck. This is the foremast, I think they call it. And this is the cargo hatch here coming soon. This is speeded up 10 times already, but it's still taking too long. Some more details. You need ladders, you need steps. Although they're not called ladders or steps on the ship, I forget what they're called. Cannons are in there. A couple of smaller cannons for they're called chase cannons because they're used to stop someone that you're chasing. Or if they're positioned at the back, they're used to stop someone that's chasing you. And they may often be a little smaller than the other cannons that are lined up along the broadside. And when I was doing this, I did learn what these things are called, but now I forgot it again. It's a shame. I was always interested in those hornblower books, you know. Whole series of books about a guy in, I think he was in the British Navy during this time when they had these kinds of ships, and they go into nicely detailed accounts of battle and feats of sailing to vanquish your foe, which were the French, I believe, in at least in one of the books I read. They were fighting the French. And I built plastic models of these kinds of ships when I was a kid. I was really into it. Now I'm drawing some more pirates here. This is the pursuing ship here. They're firing. Perhaps they don't know that she's aboard, or perhaps one of the crew isn't aware that the governor's daughter is on board, firing his chase cannon. Perhaps they just don't know that she's tied up like this, and they're hoping to just make a hole in the pirate ship so that they slow down, and hoping to rescue her in time. Three masts, some sails. Oh, and now I'm doing more pirates. I had to step off to the side a bit to do studies, pirate studies, character studies, because it's hard to do it on the fly as you're just drawing the whole ship. And I didn't use all of these. That's the point of the study. I did a few more than I was going to use and ended up choosing the best ones. And this first one here isn't the best one. I kind of like this guy with his axe, where you don't see that in the end, but he's carrying a hatchet. They all don't have to have sabers and guns or rifles or knives. They can have some. I mean, back then you'd just grab whatever killing tool you felt comfortable with. They're not soldiers. They didn't have the same equipment. And this guy has stolen some stuff from people he's killed, I suppose. I did kind of use the similar build and the big jacket and the big hat on a couple of the way background pirates, way back. But this is a middle ground pirate right here. And here you see all of them that all of the study that I did. I didn't use this guy. I don't know why. Maybe I thought that maybe he should have been captain, or he just looks a bit weird also. He's got this weird mix of weapons, and I don't know, he looks a bit top heavy and uncomfortably warm, and I don't know. With a bit more effort, he could have been a contender, but I kind of like this guy. He reminds me of Lothar, the sidekick of Mandrake the Magician, which is a comic I used to read a lot when I was a kid. This guy is my favorite. He's got the bayonet in one hand. I flipped him the other way later, as you'll see. And he's more of a sniper, really. He's a long distance killer. He's got his gunpowder here and the bullets here, and but otherwise he's barefoot because he's cool like that. Anyway, let's keep going. Here's Lothar inserted into the scene, and I'm doing another cleaner drawing on a layer above. Supporting characters. I made his body too long there. I tried to remedy that later. Now I started painting. Here we see the layers, and here we see some reference. You can pause the video later if you want to see that more clearly. There's a lot of layers here, of course. I think she's at the top, or her ropes. The ropes are at the top, and then there's the girl, and then there's this bowsprit. This rope is on a separate layer too, I think. And then there's the pirates, the distant ones, the middle pirates, and then you have the captain and Lothar on separate layers, and then you have the cannons on separate layer, and then you have the deck on a separate layer, and then you have the rest of the ship below the deck, because the deck is a peculiar, difficult problem or issue all of its own, so it's just easier that way. And then of course the background is the ocean here, and when I start painting, I usually start at the background and go upwards. So here's the foam, the sea foam. Started with laying down the darker colors of this region with airbrush, and now I'm filling in the lighter colors with not an airbrush but just an ordinary round brush, or possibly with the possible added attribute of pressure sensitive size, but otherwise a very simple brush. And then when I'm done with this, I'm gonna start on the background ship, just to get rid of that, just to be done with the background. This guy is very simply done, as you can see. These wave-like things here, it's a brush called ground. It's a textured brush called ground that is sort of meant to look like dry leaves on the ground, or stony sort of texture. In this case, it worked for the waves like this. And some spotty sort of, I forget what I call that brush. And the pursuer, just selecting it and painting inside the selection. It's not on its own layer, I think. Oh, it might have been. I think it wasn't at first, but then I separated it later. Yes, that's right, because as you can see here, well, you can't see it here, but if I zoomed out now, you would see that it's a little bit too large for its position near the horizon. It would make it huge if it really was sitting here, so I made it smaller and lowered it further down away from the horizon. And then I also did my auto contrast trick, which is necessary because I always seem to do the first, yeah, you see there it bumped up the contrast there, and usually when I do that I have to lower the saturation as well. But it's just a really quick trick to, because I start too gentle with the contrast. I paint too gently. The darks are too light and the lights are too dark. So instead of just keeping painting for another 5 or 10 minutes, I just take 5 or 10 seconds to use the auto contrast. And I'm putting in shadows on the deck layer right now. And some texture. As you can see from these shadows, the sunlight, and also I already made that clear on the ship and the splash. The sunlight is coming from the left in the image. Also note the little reflection that I put on the water, because water is shiny like that. Whatever has a strong contrast here will be visible below in a reflection. Like not the dark part so much, but whatever is lit by this very strong light source called the sun will definitely, especially if it's something white like sails or foam, it will definitely show up in a reflection. But the reflection quickly dissipates, gets blurrier and weaker, because the surface of the ocean is very, very rough. So but even clouds will show up as reflections, and even this foam, if this was a higher wave, you'll see it if you stand on shore and you're watching big breakers roll in. You'll see the reflection of the breaker just in front of itself. It's a very pretty effect. And now I'm starting on painting the girl here. I did the bowsprit here with the light coming from the left. A bit of the tackle here. I think this is just an ordinary airbrush first. And again, I'm too gentle, I'm too careful for what the final effect is gonna have to be, but again, I'm gonna use the auto contrast, yeah, right there. It's still too gentle though. I'm gonna use that trick several times on her here. I'm making some cooler areas here because it is a sunny day with a blue sky, and the blue bounces off the water and the blue bounces back up on whatever is pointed in the right direction. So for instance, this knee is pointed towards the water. Most of her is pointed away from the sky, so it's not the sky doing it, it's watery sort of reflections. It doesn't look too great right now. I just sort of tossed in some, I don't know, almost like placeholders to just to remember that I'm gonna have a bluer color here. This one is too dark, for instance, so it looks like dirt, but that's because the rest of her is too light, so I'm gonna have to do both those things. I'm gonna have to darken her skin tone here and lighten the blue here. But right now I'm doing other things. I'm putting highlight on that rope there. As I'm narrating this, I haven't even completely finished the painting yet, as you'll see when I reach the end here. So I still have to finish off the last bits after this, but I'm recording now because tomorrow I have to post this to you guys to Patreon, so at least I'll have a 90%, 99% or 95% of the video. Let's say I did that trick with the hair too. It looks really weird for a while there, but you know, it's better to pump it up a bit too much and then put some mellower half you know, half transparent colors on top. I find it easier to sort of use that good old layering technique, sort of like a wash, like watercolor artists used to do, or oil color also, or even gouache. You know, in any media that is liquid, you can dilute the pigment and use it as a wash. And I got used to doing that back when I was using those kind of pigments. So, but I find it gives a lot of control instead of always working with opaquely, especially with skin and hair. It's so tricky. You need all the control you can get. Now with spheres, and remember the human body is just a bunch of spheres. It's just like a cluster of grapes, really. The deltoid is a sphere, the other deltoid is a sphere, the boobs are spheres, her forehead is a sphere, and with a sphere you'll have a terminator that loops around in an oval, and that oval, that ellipse, it's going to be blurry, but it's going to be pointing at the sun, you know, at the sun, at the whatever the light source is. Now I'm doing the Canon here. So if you see my arrow here, I'm drawing an ellipse. So that would be the shape of the terminator around this breast, for instance. And the ellipse is pointing this way, straight towards the short axis of the ellipse is pointing straight to the light source. I don't know, I guess I should draw that for you. It's a bit tricky, but ask me about it in an email and I'll definitely send you a drawing explaining what I mean. But I think most of you get what I mean. It's not that tricky, but a lot of people, even though they know that, a lot of people don't use that when they paint that terminator. You know, when you're tracing it around a rounded form, when you're tracing the shadow line around a rounded form like a breast, it's or even pecs on a guy, well-developed pecs on a guy. I saw that today actually. Somebody hadn't done that properly. Like his pecs here, they're almost spheres. They're slightly flattened spheres. His head is another one. His deltoids are definitely spheres. And each one of these muscles here are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spheres right there. So it really helps, and even this handle of the sword here, it really helps to understand this feature of a sphere with the ellipse that is pointing towards the light. Cylinders are quite different. There's no ellipse pointing towards the light on a cylinder. It's a straight line basically. It always runs down the length of a cylinder, like you'll see with the mast here soon. It's just a parallel line down the length of the cylinder. And boxes, of course, are even easier. There's no terminator on a box. It just has 2 or 3 different colors. Here you can see the terminator. It's just a straight line. No matter how you move the light source, it will never be anything else except a straight line. And the same with a sphere actually. No matter how it'll be a straight line only in one condition, very briefly, if you swing the light around at a precise position, and then every other position it'll be an ellipse. If you only have one single light source lighting up a sphere. If you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, just take a, I don't know, an orange or an egg or something and put a light on it and see what you'll see what I mean. Just turn the light around a little bit. Now I'm painting these guys. Oh man, this was such a pain. Not just one character, but 20. Oh dear. What have I let myself in for? Anyway, we're coming nearer the end here, but as you can see, I still have a lot left to do. At this stage, I'm going to jump a little bit. Oh, I remember this. I hope you can feel my pain. The temptation to just leave them flat silhouettes, because they don't really contribute that much to the the message, the emotion, the meaning, the deeper meaning of the image. There's no deeper meaning, but you know what I mean. They don't contribute that much to the story. You know they're pirates even without these details, because it's a pirate ship. But you can't leave them. I mean, you just can't leave them. They have to be detailed to a certain level, and they probably should have been. Everything probably should have been detailed to a much higher level than what I'm actually ended up doing in the end. But obviously, it would have taken a whole other month for me to do that, because as you probably know, as you near the end, as you get deeper and deeper into details, the work slows down, and each successive gain takes longer to reach. It takes longer to make an additional difference, a visible difference to your work. This has to be cleaned up, this mess here. I added an outline to most of the layers, not all of them, but the mast, the ship, not the deck, but the bowsprit and the girl and the captain and Lothar, I think, and the ropes. I think that's it. And I flattened down a slightly transparent. I took the sketch and made it not 100%, of course, but muted it a lot, and then I dropped it down. Before I dropped it down, also I tried to square it up a little bit, and did some minor editing, like blurring it a bit here and there and erasing it a bit here and there. And that's what I'm doing now, and I'm about to drop it down. I'm smudging the color separately, and I'm smudging the sketch separately, and then I drop it down, and then I smudge the whole thing together, at the same time, as one layer. It's just another shortcut. It brings me faster towards a more fully rendered version of the captain, as you can see what I've done here. Still quite rough, but that was just a matter of, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour. It's a big step forward, and now I'm doing the ultimate detail. With eyebrows and teeth and nostrils and all that stuff. So getting into that. I'm gonna jump a little bit. It's nothing you haven't seen before. It's nose not looking great to begin with, but I changed the nose a little later. And I'm detailing Lothar as well. Detailed the gun, added some crap on the deck, some battle damage on the mast, detailing these guys with some colors and stuff. Everything is still quite rough, like I said, but you know why. This image isn't supposed to be zoomed in this close to be viewed anyway. And I'm working on the hair. Not much to say about it. I just sort of go by a feeling. I want it to be decorative, slightly stylized. I want the shapes to be distributed. Yeah, I thickened up that part. I copied it and pasted it on top of itself a couple of times to make it less transparent. See, I like this area right here. It has that decorative, almost like Rococo, gilded wooden frame kind of thing, or gilded chair, carved furniture kind of look to it. That's what I'm going for, but with a little bit of hair-like sort of chaos on top of it, like these little things here. And kind of keeping the brush strokes a little bit, like I don't want it to be round here where one brush stroke goes over another. I don't want that first brush stroke to have a rounded edge. It has to be cut off clean by the higher brush stroke. It's just a couple of things like that I'm trying to fix as I'm zooming in here. And then I'm going to sharpen up the lips here, and that's going to be pretty much it for as far as I've gotten right now. Next, what I have to do is I have to sharpen up pretty much everything else. The iris a little bit here, and the ropes. I'm going to have rope texture all over them. Let's see if I zoomed out at the end here. I'm not sure. I started the rigging also at this point. And I'm just gonna have to go back in there and wrap everything up, and then I'll be back.